everything. There comes a point in every person's life when they realize no one is coming to save them. No one's keeping score. No one truly cares about your excuses, your pain, everything, or how unfair life has been. The world keeps moving and you either get stronger or get left behind. The truth is brutal, but freeing everything. Once you stop waiting for sympathy and start demanding more from yourself, you unlock a version of you that can't be stopped. This audiobook isn't about comfort. Everything. It's about clarity. The kind that wakes you up, shakes your soul, and reminds you that greatness doesn't respond to feelings, only to effort. Nobody cares. Get up. Work harder. Everything. There's a moment in every person's life when reality hits like a punch to the gut. Maybe it comes after losing a job, being ignored when you needed support, everything. Or realizing that the people you expected to show up simply didn't. It's that quiet, crushing moment when you look around and understand. No one's coming to save you. Everything. Not your friends, not your family, not the government, not some miracle waiting around the corner. It's just you. And as harsh as that sounds, everything. That's the most liberating truth you'll ever face. We grow up fed on stories that someone or something will eventually make it right. That if we keep being good, someone will notice. Everything. If we work hard enough, someone will reward us. If we cry long enough, someone will care. But the truth is, most people are too consumed by their own battles to save anyone else. Everything. Everyone is trying to keep their own head above water. So when you sit there waiting for a hand to pull you out of your darkness, everything, you're wasting precious time. Time that could have been spent building your own ladder. Everything. I remember talking to someone years ago who had been waiting for the right opportunity. He kept saying, once I get my big break, I'll prove myself. But that break never came. Everything. Years passed. People who were less talented surpassed him. Not because they got lucky, but because they stopped waiting. They didn't ask for permission to rise, they just did. Everything. That's the difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck. One group believes someone will eventually notice their potential. Everything. The other group realizes no one owes them anything and gets to work anyway. It's a brutal shift, realizing that the world isn't watching you. You could fail, cry, everything, disappear for a year, and life would go on as if nothing happened. That's not cruelty. That's reality. The world is neutral. It doesn't hate you, everything, but it doesn't feel sorry for you either. And once you understand that, you stop wasting energy feeling wronged. You start channeling it into something useful. Everything. You stop waiting for rescue and start building resilience. Maybe you've been through things that no one should have to go through. Loss, betrayal, heartbreak, poverty, everything. Maybe life hasn't been fair. But fairness isn't a guarantee, it's a hope. If you keep replaying your pain like it's a badge, you're choosing to stay where you are. Everything. The only way to move forward is to own it. To say, this happened, but it doesn't define me. Because the moment you decide that your story isn't over, you take back your power. Everything. Think about the people who've accomplished incredible things. Most of them started with nothing. No connections, no support, no roadmap. Everything. They were just stubborn enough to believe they could figure it out. They refused to let the world's indifference stop them. The same fire exists in you, everything, but it only ignites when you stop begging life to be easier and start demanding that you be stronger. Imagine a person drowning in the ocean. They see a rescue boat far away, everything, and they start screaming for help. But the waves keep crashing, the boat doesn't hear, and the more they wait, the weaker they get. Eventually, they realize no one's coming, everything. And in that terrifying moment, something inside them shifts. They start swimming, desperately, wildly, with every ounce of strength they have. That's the moment they save themselves. Everything. The irony is that if they had kept screaming and waiting, they would have drowned. Not because help never came, but because they never helped themselves. That's life. Everything. You either swim or sink, and waiting isn't swimming. So ask yourself, where in your life are you waiting? Waiting for someone to believe in you. Waiting for the perfect timing. Everything. Waiting for motivation to strike. That wait is costing you. Every second you hesitate, someone else is taking action. Someone else is applying for that job, starting that business, everything. Learning that skill, improving themselves while you're still planning the right moment. There is no right moment. There is only now. You have to become your own rescuer. Everything. That means doing the hard things without applause, grinding in silence when no one's watching, and showing up when it's the last thing you feel like doing. Everything. It means becoming the kind of person who gets things done because it's who you are, not because someone's cheering you on. Everything. You'll be surprised how much power you have when you stop expecting it to come from outside of you. There's a reason the most successful people are often the most self-driven. Everything. They stopped depending on motivation and learned to depend on discipline. They didn't need someone to wake them up or push them forward. They became their own engine. You can too. Everything. But it starts with accepting full responsibility for your actions, your attitude, and your outcomes. That's the foundation of personal freedom. People often say, everything. I didn't have the same chances as others, and that might be true. But what's also true is that you have the same hours in a day. You have the ability to learn, to adapt, to improve, everything, to try again. The resources might differ, but the willpower, that's all you. The moment you decide that nothing is going to stop you, you start noticing doors that were invisible before. Everything. Because the universe doesn't respond to pity, it responds to movement. Think of it like this: you are the writer of your story, everything. But as long as you're waiting for someone else to fix your plot, your pen is frozen. Take it back. Rewrite the chapters. It doesn't matter what the last page said, everything. What matters is that you're holding the pen again. You don't need permission to start. You just need to begin. Sometimes this truth feels cold. You might think, everything. Why should I have to do everything alone? But you're not truly alone. You have your mind, your will, your capacity to act. The greatest tools any human could ask for, everything. And once you start using them, you attract others who are on the same frequency. Strong people find each other. But you have to become strong first, everything. Stop romanticizing the idea of being saved. It's a fantasy built on dependence, everything. The strongest people you'll ever meet didn't get there because someone lifted them up. They got there because they learned to stand on their own. They failed, fell, got back up, everything, and refused to quit. They built armor not by avoiding pain but by enduring it. That's how real confidence is born. Not from compliments, not from validation, everything, but from proving to yourself over and over that you can handle life. And the beautiful thing is, once you stop waiting, life starts changing fast. Because now, everything, you're not hoping, you're doing. You're not reacting, you're creating. The power dynamic flips. Instead of asking life for favors, you start shaping it to your will. Everything. That's not arrogance. That's ownership. And ownership is the foundation of all success. I know it's not easy. Everything. There will be nights when it feels like you've given everything and gained nothing. When the silence feels heavier than the effort. But that's when growth is happening quietly. Everything. Underneath the surface. Keep showing up. Keep pushing forward. Because every time you do, you send a message to yourself. I am not waiting anymore. Everything. You may not control the cards you were dealt, but you absolutely control how you play them. And that choice, that daily decision to act, to move, everything, to build, is what separates the ones who talk about change from the ones who live it. Nobody's coming to save you. And that's the best news you'll ever hear. Everything. Because once you realize that, you stop expecting and you start executing. You stop blaming and you start building. You stop wishing and you start winning. Everything. And in that shift, that quiet, powerful shift, you become unstoppable. Pain is the currency of growth. Everything. It's the cost every person must pay when they decide to become something greater than they were yesterday. You can't escape it, negotiate it, or find a shortcut around it. You endure it. Everything. You learn from it, and you rise because of it. Yet most people run from pain the moment it shows up, as if it's a sign that something's gone wrong. Everything. But what if the discomfort isn't a warning, but a signal that you're on the right path? What if pain is simply the tuition fee for your evolution? Think about it. Everything. Every meaningful transformation in your life has involved some kind of struggle. The first time you learned to ride a bike, you fell. The first time you tried to speak in public, everything. Your voice trembled. The first time you loved someone deeply, you risked heartbreak. Growth has never arrived wrapped in comfort. It's always delivered in moments that test you, everything, stretch you, and sometimes break you. But it's those very cracks where the light gets in, where wisdom, humility, and resilience begin to take root. Everything. Most people want the results without the resistance. They want strength without strain, confidence without fear, success without sacrifice. But that's not how life works. Everything. You can't build muscle without tearing fibers. You can't build character without facing disappointment. Everything. You can't discover what you're truly capable of if you only operate within the boundaries of what feels safe. Growth demands friction, everything. It asks you to lean into the challenge instead of stepping back from it. Let's imagine someone training for a marathon. At first, every mile feels like punishment. Lungs burning, everything, legs shaking, sweat dripping down their face. Their body screams to stop, but over time, that same pain becomes familiar, even welcome. It becomes the proof that they're getting stronger, everything, that they're pushing limits that once seemed impossible. The pain didn't disappear, they just learned to understand it differently, everything. That's what mastery looks like, not the absence of discomfort, but the ability to interpret it as progress. In life, the same principle applies. Emotional pain, failure, everything, rejection, they're all forms of training. They strengthen your inner core if you let them. The heartbreak that once shattered you teaches you how to love with boundaries, everything. The business that failed teaches you how to adapt, strategize, and rebuild with more precision. The job rejection forces you to sharpen your skills and prove your worth even more, everything. Each bruise carries a lesson, and each setback shapes the version of you that can handle what's next. But here's the thing, pain alone doesn't guarantee growth. Everything. Some people go through hard times and stay bitter, angry, and stuck. Others face the same trials and come out wiser, stronger, and more grateful. Everything. The difference isn't in the pain. It's in how they process it. Pain will either harden your heart or strengthen your spirit, depending on what you decide to do with it. Everything. The key is perspective. When you see pain as an investment instead of a punishment, you begin to extract power from it. There's a story of a blacksmith who shapes swords out of raw metal. Everything. When the metal first hits the fire, it screams, bends, and glows under the intense heat. The blacksmith hammers it, shapes it, and puts it back into the flames again and again. Everything. If the metal could speak, it might ask, "Why are you doing this to me?" But the blacksmith knows. Without the fire, it will never be strong enough to become a sword. That's life. Everything. The challenges you face aren't meant to destroy you. They're meant to forge you. Every trial is a refining fire, burning away weakness and revealing your true strength. Everything. In the quiet moments when no one's watching, pain also teaches you patience. It slows you down enough to reflect, to understand who you are beneath all the noise. Everything. When everything's going your way, it's easy to be optimistic, kind, and confident. But when life gets hard, when doors close, when people leave, everything, when plans fall apart, that's when your character is exposed. That's when the real work begins. It's not about pretending the pain doesn't hurt. Everything. It's about standing in the middle of it and saying, "This is tough, but I'm tougher." I once heard someone say, everything. Life will keep repeating the same lesson until you learn it. And that's true. If you run from pain, it chases you. If you face it, it transforms you. Everything. Growth doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from walking through it with open eyes and an open heart. The challenge is not to escape pain, everything, but to make meaning from it, to let it teach you what comfort never could. There's a scene that plays out in many people's lives. Someone hits rock bottom. They lose their job, everything. Their relationship or their health falls apart. At first, it feels like the end, but later that same moment becomes the turning point, the event that forced them to wake up, to rebuild everything, to find a purpose deeper than comfort. Think about the countless stories of people who built empires after losing everything, who found strength after heartbreak, everything, who discovered faith in the middle of chaos. Their success wasn't born in peace, it was born in pain. And that's the part most people overlook. Because in our world, everything, we glorify outcomes. We see the finished product, not the process. We see the athlete holding the trophy, not the tears behind closed doors. We see the entrepreneur celebrating success, everything. Not the nights they questioned everything. We see the confidence, not the insecurities they fought through. Pain is invisible in the final picture, everything, but it's the thread holding it all together. The truth is, you cannot grow without paying the price of discomfort. If your goal is to live an easy life, everything, you'll never taste the fulfillment that comes from overcoming something hard. But if your goal is to become everything you're capable of, everything, then you must be willing to embrace struggle like an ally. Every moment of pain becomes a down payment on your future strength. Every sleepless night, every failure, everything, every doubt, it all accumulates into something powerful, something unshakable. It's not about loving pain. No one loves pain. It's about respecting it, everything. understanding that it's part of the process, part of the price of greatness. When you feel that burn in your chest, that ache in your heart, that fatigue in your body, remind yourself, everything. This is the currency I'm paying for my evolution. This is proof that I'm in motion, that I'm not stuck in mediocrity or comfort, that I'm alive and I'm becoming more. Everything. If you can learn to endure pain without resentment, you'll gain something most people never do, inner peace. Because once you stop fighting against what's hard, everything, you stop wasting energy on resistance. You learn to flow with life instead of cursing it. You understand that storms don't last forever, but they leave you stronger than they found you. Everything. The scars remain, yes, but they tell a story of survival, growth, and transformation. So the next time you find yourself in a painful season, don't ask, everything, why me? Ask instead, what is this teaching me? What part of me needs to evolve? What weakness is this pain trying to reveal? When you approach it that way, everything, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a student of your experience. You realize that the universe isn't against you. It's refining you, preparing you, everything, strengthening you for what's next. Every great life is built on the foundation of endured pain. Behind every strong person is a story they never wanted to live through, but did. Everything, and in surviving it, they became someone they could respect. Someone who no longer needs validation or pity. Everything. Someone who understands that pain isn't the end of the story. It's the part that gives the story its meaning. That's the real currency of growth. Not comfort, not praise, everything, but the willingness to face the fire and keep walking forward. There's something intoxicating about motivation, everything. That sudden rush of energy that fills your chest after watching a powerful speech or scrolling past an inspiring video. You feel unstoppable for a moment, ready to take on the world, everything, ready to become the best version of yourself. But here's the truth that most people never want to admit: motivation is like sugar. It gives you a quick high, a temporary burst, everything. But it doesn't last, which it always does. Most people stop. They quit when the excitement disappears, when the music ends, when no one's watching, everything. That's why so many start strong and fade quietly. But the ones who keep going, the ones who reach the top, they live by something different. They live by discipline, everything. Discipline doesn't care how you feel in the morning. It doesn't negotiate with your comfort. It's the quiet decision to show up when you don't want to, everything. It's doing the work even when there's no applause, no motivation, no visible progress. Discipline is what separates the dreamers from the doers, the amateurs from the professionals, everything. Because anyone can work when it feels good. The real question is, can you work when it doesn't? Imagine this, it's 5 in the morning. Your alarm goes off. The room is cold, everything. Your bed is warm and your mind starts whispering excuses. You can do it later. One day off won't hurt. You deserve rest. That's the voice that kills potential, everything. Discipline is the one that answers back, quietly but firmly. Get up. You don't think, you don't debate, you just move. You put your feet on the floor, and the moment you do, everything, you've already won. Because in that single choice, you've proven to yourself that your mind serves you, not the other way around, everything. People often talk about success as if it's built on moments of inspiration. But the truth is, success is built on repetition. The small, unglamorous actions done consistently over time, everything. It's not the one big workout that changes your body. It's showing up day after day when nobody claps for you. It's not writing when you feel inspired, everything. It's writing when your brain is tired and your heart's not in it. It's not building your business when you're excited. It's pushing forward through boredom, through doubt, everything, through silence. Discipline is the bridge between wanting something and having it. Think about an athlete, everything. The difference between the great and the average isn't talent, it's consistency. The great ones practice the same move thousands of times, refining it, perfecting it, everything, long after others would have quit out of boredom. Kobe Bryant was known to practice for hours before dawn, long before anyone else showed up. He wasn't relying on motivation, everything. Motivation doesn't wake you up at 4 a.m., discipline does. He understood that greatness isn't born from bursts of passion, it's sculpted from daily commitment, everything. The problem with motivation is that it's emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you wake up feeling driven, and other days you wake up empty, everything. If you build your life around your feelings, you'll never build anything that lasts. Because your feelings are temporary, but your goals are not everything. Discipline is what protects your vision from your emotions. It's the guardian of your dreams, the structure that keeps you moving even when the fire inside flickers low. Everything. There's a story about a writer who was asked how he managed to write every single day for 30 years. He said, "Everything. I only write when I'm inspired, but I make sure I'm inspired every morning at 9 a.m. That's discipline. It's not waiting for the perfect mood. Everything. It's creating the environment where action becomes automatic. You don't think, you don't debate, you execute. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, everything. I'll start when I feel ready. But readiness is a trap. You'll never feel completely ready. The timing will never be perfect. Discipline says, everything. Start anyway. It teaches you to move through fear, through resistance, through laziness, everything. It trains your brain to stop relying on emotional permission and start trusting your own command. The first few times are hard. Your mind will fight back. Your body will resist, everything. But with repetition, something powerful happens. It becomes who you are. You stop needing motivation because discipline becomes your identity, everything. And that's the real transformation. When showing up is no longer a decision, but a reflex. You wake up and do the work not because you feel like it, but because it's who you are now, everything. Discipline reprograms your character. It teaches you reliability, patience, and self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen the foundation of who you are, everything. And every time you break one, you weaken it. That's why discipline isn't punishment, it's self-respect in action. There will be days when nothing seems to work, everything. When you give your best effort and the results are invisible, those are the moments that test your discipline the most. Because in that silence, you'll be tempted to give up everything, to believe it's pointless. But remember this, consistency compounds. The effort you make today might not show tomorrow, but it builds something beneath the surface, everything. Every act of discipline plants a seed, and while you can't see it growing, one day it breaks through. Suddenly, everyone sees the overnight success. But you'll know the truth, everything. It wasn't overnight. It was every single day that you showed up when no one noticed. Think of discipline like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets, everything. The first time you resist temptation, it feels almost impossible. But every time you push through the discomfort, you expand your capacity. The workouts get easier, the writing flows faster, everything. The routines feel lighter. You start to crave the grind because you associate it with growth, everything. And that's when life changes. When discipline stops feeling like restriction and starts feeling like freedom. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want, everything. Freedom is being in control of yourself. Discipline gives you that power. It frees you from laziness, distraction, and doubt. When you live with discipline, everything, you stop chasing short-term pleasure and start creating long-term peace. You gain the quiet confidence that comes from knowing, no matter what happens, you'll show up, everything. You'll do the work. You'll keep your word. And that's something no one can take away from you. Maybe you've failed before, everything. Maybe you've started 100 things and never finished them. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you were relying on the wrong fuel, everything. You were chasing motivation when you should have been building discipline. So start small. Pick one thing, one habit, one commitment, and stick to it no matter what, everything. Don't focus on doing it perfectly, focus on doing it consistently. Because perfection isn't the goal, progress is. And progress is built one disciplined day at a time, everything. There's beauty in the grind when you understand its purpose. Every repetition, every early morning, everything. Every moment you push yourself when no one's watching. It's all shaping you into someone unrecognizable from who you used to be. Discipline is sculpting you quietly, everything. Preparing you for the life you said you wanted. You just have to keep going long enough to see it work. When motivation dies, discipline lives. It's the backbone of every achievement, everything. The foundation beneath every success story. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's powerful. It's what turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces, everything. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't reward those who start fast. It rewards those who never stop. So when the excitement fades and the fire inside you dims, remember this, everything. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to show up, every single day. That's the real secret. That's how greatness is built. Not in the moments when you feel like doing it, everything. But in the countless moments when you don't, and you do it anyway. You know what separates people who dream from those who actually build the dream? It's not intelligence. Everything. It's not talent. It's not even opportunity. It's the ability to outwork their own excuses. Everything. Because let's be honest, the biggest obstacle you'll ever face doesn't live outside you. It's not the boss who didn't believe in you, or the lack of money, everything, or the people who didn't support your vision. The real fight happens in silence inside your own mind when the voice of comfort starts whispering reasons to quit. That's the enemy, everything. That's the voice you must learn to outwork. Excuses sound like logic when they're born out of fear, everything. They disguise themselves as reasonable thoughts. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired. It's not the right time. But every time you buy into those stories, everything, you hand over another piece of your potential. Think about it, the person you could become, stronger, sharper, more capable, is being delayed not by impossibility, everything, but by permission you keep giving to your comfort zone. And here's the cruel truth, your comfort zone will give you every excuse you need to stay average, everything, and it will always sound convincing. There's a reason people who achieve extraordinary things often look a little obsessed, everything. They learn that excuses and effort cannot exist in the same breath. When you decide to work, truly work, the excuses lose their grip. You stop negotiating with yourself, everything. You stop debating whether you feel like it. You just do the thing because that's who you are now. Let's take an example. Imagine a guy named Daniel. He wants to get in shape, everything. Every night before bed, he promises himself that tomorrow will be the day he wakes up early, hits the gym, and finally gets serious. Morning comes. The alarm rings, it's dark outside, everything. His bed is warm, and instantly his mind begins its campaign. You slept late last night. Rest is important. You can start on Monday. That's not laziness speaking, everything. That's the brain protecting comfort. But comfort doesn't care about your goals. Comfort wants to keep you safe, predictable, unchanged, everything. Daniel doesn't realize that every time he gives in, he's teaching his brain that excuses win, that they're acceptable. That his comfort has more authority than his commitments, everything. Now imagine Daniel deciding just once to ignore that voice. He throws the covers off, puts his feet on the floor, and starts moving before his mind can argue, everything. That moment, that exact instant of rebellion against the excuse, is where transformation begins. Because it's not the workout that changes him, everything. It's the decision to stop believing his own limitations. Every excuse is a shield. It protects you from short-term discomfort but traps you in long-term regret, everything. You say you don't have time, but look at your screen time. You say you're not ready, but deep down, you're just scared to be seen starting small, everything. You say you're waiting for the perfect moment, but you know the truth. There's no perfect moment coming. There's only now. And every time you delay, everything, you strengthen the chains that hold you still. The difference between success and mediocrity often comes down to who can endure the silence between effort and reward. Most people stop there, everything. They work hard for a few days, then when results don't show up fast enough, everything. The mind starts offering a list of rational excuses. It's not working. Maybe I'm not meant for this. I'll try something else. That's how dreams die quietly, everything. Not with failure, but with slow surrender disguised as logic. You need to understand something powerful. Excuses are built on emotion, not evidence. When you say, everything, I don't have time, what you really mean is, I don't want to face the discomfort of prioritizing this. When you say, I can't, what you often mean is, everything. I'm afraid I'll fail if I try. When you say, it's too late, what you actually mean is, I'm embarrassed to start where I am. Once you see through that illusion, everything, excuses lose their magic. They can't manipulate you anymore because you've exposed them for what they are. Fear wearing the mask of logic, everything. I remember meeting a young woman named Maya at a seminar years ago. She told me she wanted to start her own business, but didn't have the confidence. She said things like, everything. I don't know enough, and I don't have the resources. But when we broke it down, everything, what she really lacked wasn't money or skill. It was courage to look foolish in the beginning. That's what most people are running from. Not failure, but judgment, everything. And so they hide behind excuses that sound responsible. But what Maya didn't realize was that her excuses were stealing years of her life, everything. Fast forward 2 years later, she finally took the leap. She started small, messy, terrified. And guess what? She failed her first 2 attempts. But the third one worked, everything. And when I asked her what changed, she said, I stopped letting my excuses talk louder than my goals. That's it. That's the secret. You see, everything. Hard work doesn't always guarantee instant success, but it guarantees growth, and that growth makes success inevitable. Every day you outwork an excuse, everything. You reinforce a new identity, one that doesn't crumble under discomfort. You begin to trust yourself again. And that's the greatest victory of all, self-trust, everything. But let's get practical for a moment. The way to silence excuses isn't through motivation, it's through systems. Motivation fades, systems sustain. If you keep waiting to feel ready, everything, you'll wait forever. Instead, build habits so automatic that you don't have to decide every day whether to act. Wake up at the same time, write when you don't want to. Everything, train when it rains. Execute without discussion. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. Your excuses get quieter and your results get louder. Start small. Everything. If your goal is to read more, commit to 1 page a day. If you want to exercise, start with 5 minutes. Don't let the size of your starting point embarrass you. Let it liberate you. Everything. Because consistency, even in small doses, is more powerful than sporadic intensity. There's a moment, usually around the time progress feels invisible, everything. When the old excuses try to creep back in, that's the test. The mind will say, "You've done enough for now." It'll whisper, "Take a break." Everything. You deserve it. But understand, that's not your truth. That's your comfort zone negotiating for its survival. Push through that moment, and something shifts. Everything. You stop being someone who tries and you become someone who endures. Think about the greats, athletes, creators, builders. They all have one thing in common, everything. They've built a relationship with discomfort that most people run from. They don't rely on external motivation, they rely on internal standards. Their work ethic is not an act, everything. It's their identity. They don't say, "I'll do my best." They say, "I'll do what's required." That's what it means to outwork your excuses. The truth is, everything. No one will ever care as much about your dreams as you do. So stop waiting for external validation. Stop waiting for the perfect condition, the right support, or the ideal timing. Everything. None of that matters if you're not showing up. Your future self is watching you right now. Everything. Silently hoping you'll stop giving in to the same tired stories and finally commit to what you said you wanted. There's nothing special about people who make it, except this, everything. When they faced the same doubts, fears, and excuses, they kept going anyway. They understood that the discomfort of discipline is temporary, but the regret of excuses lasts forever. Everything. So the next time your mind starts whispering reasons to stop, take a deep breath and remember, this is the moment where most people quit. This is where average people bow out. Everything. And that's exactly why you must keep going. Because every second you push past that voice, you're not just working harder, you're becoming harder to stop. Everything. Outworking your excuses isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up even when it's inconvenient. Everything. Proving to yourself again and again that your commitment is stronger than your comfort. Because once you cross that line, once you stop believing the stories that hold you back, everything, something unshakable is born inside you. And that's the version of you that wins, not because life got easier, but because you finally got tougher than your excuses. Everything. There comes a point in life when you realize the difference between the ones who dream and the ones who achieve. It's not talent, not luck, not even timing. It's the refusal to stop. Everything. The people who rise to greatness aren't always the most gifted. They're the ones who, when the world pushes them down, stand up one more time. When everything tells them it's over, everything, they whisper to themselves, "Not yet." That's what an unstoppable mind looks like. Not perfect, not fearless, but relentless. You can spot someone who has this mindset almost instantly. Everything. There's a calm to them, a kind of quiet power. They don't panic when things fall apart. They've been there before, in the dark, everything, in the doubt, and they know they can make it through again. Their strength doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from evidence. Everything. Evidence built through hundreds of moments when they kept going despite every reason not to. Think about a time when life hit you hard. Maybe it was a loss, a failure, a betrayal, everything, or simply that slow erosion of hope when nothing seemed to work. Most people stop there. They take it as a sign that maybe this isn't for them. But the unstoppable ones see it differently. Everything. To them, pain isn't the end of the story. It's part of the process. They understand that you can't build strength without resistance. You can't build character without hardship. Everything, every hit, every setback, every sleepless night is a brick in the foundation of a mind that doesn't break. Let's get real. Everyone loves to talk about success, everything, but few are honest about the grind behind it. The athletes we admire, the entrepreneurs we celebrate, the artists who inspire us, none of them got there through luck alone. Everything. They got there through brutal repetition, through showing up when it wasn't exciting anymore. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest because he won every game, everything. He became great because he learned more from losing than others learned from winning. He used every failure as fuel. That's the mindset you need. Not chasing comfort, but chasing growth. Everything. Being unstoppable doesn't mean you never feel doubt. It means you act in spite of it. You don't wait for the perfect plan, the perfect mood, or the perfect moment. Everything. You move forward with what you have, where you are. You learn on the way. Everything. The unstoppable mind is not about having control over everything. It's about staying unshaken when things are out of control. It's about trusting that, no matter what, you'll adapt. Everything. Adjust and continue. The truth is, most people quit not because they can't reach their goals, but because they can't handle the uncertainty that comes with trying. Everything. They want guarantees. A sign that the effort will pay off. But that's not how life works. The ones who make it are the ones who keep swinging even when they can't see the target. Everything. They stay in the game long enough for luck to show up. Because success doesn't reward talent alone. It rewards endurance. Everything. I once met a man who had been working on the same business idea for 8 years. 8 years of failed prototypes, financial struggle, and constant rejection. Everything. Most people told him to give up, to be realistic. He didn't listen. He told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Every time I fail, everything. I just imagine myself as the version of me who's already made it." And I ask, what would he do right now? That question kept him going. Eventually, his persistence paid off. Everything. His idea took off, his company grew, and the same people who told him to quit now quote him as an example of perseverance. But the success wasn't the real story. Everything. The real story was that for 8 long years, he acted like the person he wanted to become, even before the results came. That's what it means to embody grit as an identity. Everything. When you truly become unstoppable, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't ask whether you feel like doing the work. You simply do it, because that's who you are. Everything. You don't let temporary emotions decide permanent outcomes. You understand that every day is another rep, another chance to train your mind to follow through, no matter what. Everything. You stop chasing motivation and start living through discipline. You stop needing external validation and start relying on your own standard. Everything. And that shift, from wanting success to being the kind of person who earns it, changes everything. Because now, you're not pretending to be committed. You are commitment. Everything. You don't chase results, you attract them through consistency. People may not understand your drive, and that's okay. Being unstoppable often looks lonely. Everything. It means saying no when others are saying yes. It means waking up early when everyone else is sleeping in. It means believing in something that doesn't exist yet. Everything. And holding that belief so fiercely that eventually it becomes real. You start to find a strange peace in the struggle. You realize that the grind itself, the endless effort, everything, the small victories, the setbacks, is where you build yourself. You stop hating the process and start respecting it. Because deep down, you know that if life were easy, everything, you'd never become who you're meant to be. The storms aren't there to destroy you, they're there to forge you. There's a story about a bamboo tree that captures this perfectly. Everything. When you plant a bamboo seed, nothing happens for the first year, or the second, or the third. You water it, you nurture it, and still nothing. But on the 5th year, everything, something incredible happens. It suddenly shoots up over 80 feet in just a few weeks. Now, did it grow 80 feet in a month? No. It was growing the entire time, just underground. Everything. It was building roots deep enough to support that kind of explosive growth. That's what an unstoppable mind does. It builds quietly in the dark. It strengthens unseen. Everything. Preparing for the moment it finally breaks through. The same applies to you. Maybe you're in that silent stage, the one where no one's clapping, no one's noticing, everything, and it feels like all your effort is going nowhere. But if you keep going, if you keep watering your dream every day, your breakthrough will come. Everything. The roots you're building now, your patience, your discipline, your refusal to quit. will hold you steady when you rise. So ask yourself, who do you want to be when it gets hard? Everything. The person who stops and complains, or the person who smiles and says, let's go again? The choice defines everything, because one day, everything, you'll look back and realize that every moment you thought was breaking you was actually building you. Every failure was shaping your focus. Everything. Every delay was strengthening your determination. Unstoppable people aren't superhuman. They just have a simple rule: no matter how they feel, they never stop moving. Everything. They know that consistency beats intensity. They know that progress, even slow progress, is still progress. Everything. They know that showing up on the days they don't want to is what separates them from everyone else. And because of that, they win. Not because the world made it easy, everything, but because they refused to let it stop them. There's a moment that comes after years of doing the work, a quiet moment when you realize you no longer fear the struggle. Everything. You no longer look for shortcuts or easy paths. You've learned to trust your own endurance. You've built a mind that can outlast failure, fatigue, and doubt. Everything. You've become the kind of person who doesn't quit, not because you can't lose, but because you can't be broken. That's what this entire journey leads to. Everything. The moment when effort becomes identity. When the voice that used to say, I can't, turns into, I will. When you stop being the person who tries and start being the person who does. Everything. That's the unstoppable mind, quiet, powerful, and unshakable. The kind of mindset that doesn't just survive life's storms, but walks through them. Everything. Knowing that no matter how hard the wind blows, you'll still be standing when it clears. Because once you become unstoppable, truly unstoppable, there's no going back.